are listening to the Slash and Cast Podcast Network. Enjoy the show.
All right, folks, Justin here with a quick word before we dive into this. Is a solo show fronted by Daniel. We had an extremely limited time for this first go around with Ripper, so I felt I'd just get in the way, as Tim Owens is Daniel's favorite vocalist, as you'll soon find out. So next time we'll get Tim for the full ride. Anyway, without further ado, here you go.
Greetings, boils and ghouls. This is your comrade, the Crypt Keeper here, reporting dead from the sanctuary of the strange. Tonight's macabre myth is a fright-filled feature, one overflowing with monsters, madness, and magic.
This is the Monsters, Madness, and Magic podcast. I am Daniel, and quite frankly, it doesn't matter who else is here or not here, because the person that matters is here is Tim Owens. Tim Ripper Owens. There's about 20 or 30 friends of mine who have known me for a couple of decades now who maybe understand just how freaking incredible this actually is. So I'll just go ahead and get it out of the way and gush for a second. You are probably, I'd have to say, my favorite vocalist. You're like my favorite singer.
Awesome.
Bruce Dickinson and Rob Halford don't count, because essentially it's like saying, you know, what's your favorite movie? Because I was born in 1980. So when someone says, what's your favorite movie? You can't say Star Wars, because of course it is. So it's much the same thing. You know, who's your favorite singer? Bruce Dickinson, Rob Halford? Well, of course they are. So coming up, my favorite singer, it just over time, starting to get into the metal thing, I started to hear you. And of course, Winter's Bane, I didn't get too much of that. But my first real introduction to you was when I purchased Jugulator from Kmart. I was like, who's this dude? That's not Rob Halford. But then whenever I heard the album, especially when Jugulator kicks in, I was like, okay, I'm hooked. So anyway, long story short, I have him digitally across the screen from me, Tim Owens. Dude, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm glad you got the Jugulator on the blue light special at Kmart. That's
dude, I paid $18 for that damn thing.
Holy shit. No wonder Kmart went out of business.
Dude, seriously, back then, you know, we didn't have listening stations back then. These were all blind buys, blind purchases that we had to do. And I remember seeing Jugulator on the shelf. Other than Painkiller, I had never really given Priest a whole thorough listen. Coming up, I was a Metallica kid. Started to branch out a little bit in my job at Kmart. And I happened to pick up the CD, and I was just floored. Then, of course, years later, I'll fast forward to this little bit to find out that that movie Rockstar was based upon you joining Priest at that time. And it was just like, oh, cool. Because when I saw the movie, it was like, holy shit, that's that guy. So anyway.
Yeah.
What are you doing back with KK's Priest? All right, let me set the table for the listeners at home, just so they understand. My buddy Justin, who knows, he's the one that normally heads up the podcast. He knows how much of a fan I am of yours. He also knows that how much just a true blue, as I would call it, Frank Frazetta nerd I am for just good old heavy metal. And so naturally he sends me this link. He's like, dude, have you seen this? And I pull it up, and what do you know? It's Tim Owens singing with K.K. Downing playing, and it's called Hellfire Thunderbolt. How did this happen?
Well, you know, Ken and I had stayed in contact for years, and I would tour solo and play around his area, and he'd always come out to the shows and hang out, bring a couple cases of beer for the band to have, and just talk. And then somebody had gotten to his ear about doing a show at his venue there, Steel Mill. We did the show, and it just started the ball rolling, you know, started the wheels turning, the ball rolling, and we were like, well, there was a certain, not right away, though, but then he messaged back and said, I think we should do a record. You want to do a record? And I got some great material I've been working on, and that's kind of how it started. You know, I mean, it was as simple as that.
Just as simple as that. Oh, God, Jesus Christ. Just let me pick up the phone. I'm going to call Tim Owens, like my favorite vocalist. Hey, we should do a record. Yeah, let's do a record. Dude, right. That is incredible. Usually I've found that creativity, it starts to do that. You know, once you write one song, at least it happens with me, you'll write one, then you'll do a little motif, or you'll start chunking out this next riff, and all of a sudden you're like, well, that's cool. Well, we should make that a second song. And then it's a third song and a fourth song. So how quickly did this album come about? Was it one of those, 12 hours later, weekend bender and the album's done? Or did y'all sit there and meticulously go over everything? I'm kind of curious as to the songwriting process, because just from the sounds of Hellfire Thunderbolt, y'all have a cohesion. It's clear you were comfortable with it. So I'm just curious as like the process of it, how these came together.
He just started right away with it. I mean, he spent a lot of time writing it. He spent a lot of time doing this and getting the songs. And even after COVID hit, then after we even made it, he went back and did this, listened to it even more. So he definitely wanted to make sure he was doing everything right. So that's what he did. He really spent a lot of time, a lot of effort, making sure everything was exactly what he wanted. He wanted to make sure it was done right. He spent that time. And not only that, he really wanted to do it, after we did it. He went back and we did and changed things and worked on it. So he spent a lot of effort. He really wanted it to be the exact record that he wanted to put out. He didn't want to just do it just for the hell of it. He was doing it to make sure he's like, this is KK's Priest and this is going to rock.
It certainly, let me put it this way, it raised my eyebrows. Like when I turn, it's like, KK's Priest, what is this? Turn it on. You hear the first riff, and then you hear you come in belting it. And it's like, I start smiling. It's like, all right, here we go. I'm in 30 seconds. And it's like, okay, I'm in. I don't care.
Yeah,
exactly. It doesn't matter what this is about.
Yeah.
How did you do the vocals? Like, this is a trade secret, feel free to blow me off, but did you remote record them, or how were you a part of this album? Or did you actually fly out there, or does he have like this crystal palace, like Superman's Fortress of Solitude, and, he ushers you in there on a palanquin. You just sit there with a bunch of topless chicks and grapes and record your vocals. I mean, I'm just curious as to how this one happened. If you recorded it solo at your home, or if you actually went to overseas to a studio to do it, or what?
Yeah, that would have been pretty cool. No, I flew over there. This was pre-COVID, so I was able to go over there and spend a couple weeks and work on the songs, and that's what was great about. Now I'm so used to sitting in my studio and recording all the time. Now I record all year long for bands all over the world. It was a while since I've been in a studio like that, but we did it, and that's what was great about coming home is when I came back, and then you're trapped because we couldn't go anywhere because COVID hit, so I definitely can't go to England. I was able to redo vocals in my studio here. So he's like, hey, let's redo this. Let's approach it differently, and let's try this, or try this verse again, or this word's wrong, we should change it to this. I was able to match up the vocals and do a lot of vocals, some more vocals here, but it was already done. We sat in the studio and did it together, Ken and I, and it was a good time.
So you record at home for other bands all over the world, so they just hit you up? Because I'm one of those people, by the way, who actually did that. Of course, life gets in the way and wasn't able to finally get the demo, the proof of concept done to you. But yeah, I was just curious you sit there recording at home for the bands and stuff, like doing your vocals. So you have your own studio set up. So you have a fortress of solitude with a bunch of topless chicks and grapes. I mean, how do you summon the grapes? Is it in the falsetto scream, or are you just like, hey, come here, bring me some grapes?
I just sit here and scream away.
2 years on doing this album, I'm so used to doing this by myself, and it's rough and tumble. And usually when the album's done, it's about 2 days before I click publish. It's like, well, that's that. Okay. And then it's done. So this was 2 years in the making. Wow.
Yeah. And it would have been sooner. I mean, the thing is, we weren't planning on it being that, obviously, we were planning on getting going there, so it was, we would have had it out sooner than that and probably lived with some of the versions, because everything's still pretty much the same as a couple of minor changes. But yeah, I mean, it only became that long because of COVID. The whole idea was we were going to be touring that summer. We were going to put the record out. We had festivals lined up. We had things lined up already. So we were ready to rock. We were ready to come out of the gate. So the problem is when you have a band like this, it's not a project. It's a band, and we're not established. If you're an established band, you record a record during COVID, you could put it out. Listen, we don't have band photos. We can't get together. It's hard to do promo. Does a record label really want to sink a lot of money into a record when you can't do things properly? Because we know things are opening up now, and we know we're going to be able to put the record out and hopefully start booking some shows and start doing some touring. So that's kind of the whole plan,
I like this angle. That was I appreciate the honesty there in that. So, and it never even occurred to me. Now that I think about it, you're right. I was just kind of curious because it didn't seem like, of course, I'm trying not to be an edgelord with this, but I'm sitting here screaming at people, be like, you do realize that Tim Owens is back, right? I don't know if you've seen Ernest Goes to Jail when he says, you see this man? And he grabs his head. They said, no, I mean this guy right here. Because it was one of those of my friends like, Tim Owens is back. I went and told my son. I was like, dude, Starscream's back, because he always called you Starscream when he was little. And I have a question for you, as a matter of fact, that I told him about 10 years ago I'd ask you. But anyway, so I told him, I was like, dude, Starscream's back. And he was like, wow, I didn't know. And yes, I know. Apparently, hardly anybody knows. All it was that one video on YouTube with you bringing up like no photos and anything, and then hearing about it. Like, that's kind of cool. See there, ladies and gentlemen who's listening at home, indie artists, the man himself, Tim Owens, also has setbacks like this because, you don't always get your photos. You can't always get your promos. Cannibal Corpse rides up and they've got like zombie bodies and stuff and spikes all over their big tour bus. I've seen it. It's true. It smells horrible, but it's really rad. But, they can release an album, and that's cool because it's freaking Cannibal Corpse, of course they can. But, for other bands, the industry sucks.
No, it was really bad. It's funny because there were such great plans. And you know what? Everything happens for a reason. The thing is, when it happened in the industry, there's nothing really more to say about it. Listen, COVID hit. Everybody knows they should know why it's not coming out because we can't tour, we can't promote, we can't get together. I'm in a different country. It's just not going to happen. And, you want to do it right, like I said. And we didn't have anything else to say. I mean, what are we going to tell people until it's time to, because you don't want to talk about it. When this record was done and you're working on it and it's finished, you don't want to talk about it or tell people about it. You want to wait until the album's getting ready to be released to do the promotion for it. So people's like, why didn't you tell us about less or what? Well, we didn't tell anybody about anything. We were waiting to talk about the record when it was going to be closer to time. KK is old school. He doesn't have to sit on Facebook and promote stuff like I do 24 hours a day. I'm promoting my bands and what I've done and my merch 24 hours a day on social media. I put out so many records the past couple of years, and I do so many things. I mean, I've never been busier in my life, but that's how I do it. KK's old school, like Wendy Dio is. They wait. All promotion people will tell you, like I haven't been doing interviews for the past 7 months. People keep asking me. I'm like, listen, I can't do it. I'm locked down with waiting to talk about the KK thing. I have nothing to say until we're ready to promote it, And that's, you got to do it right. Like I said, this is a big deal. This isn't small fry stuff. This is a big deal, and it's a great record, so we want to make sure we do it right.
I can imagine. So it's the name itself and then that promo video. Now, the video, I'm not sure. I didn't check the date on YouTube. So the fact that the video came out, apparently y'all were ready to start let slip the dogs of war, if you will. Apparently somebody out there was ready to let people know that this album was coming. So the fact that promo was out there has official promo. I mean, you're talking to me. So has official promo for this thing begun? Now officially, yes, Here It Comes, Get Ready. You're in full promo mode now?
Yeah, that Ken started on it a couple of weeks back. Finding all these people that's been coming at me. I have to try to find them now because they've been sending me stuff for so long. Can I do a podcast? Because usually I'll do it. If I'm going to slip up and say something stupid, let me at least wait till it's closer to the KK release. So now it is. We have the agency. We have the labels on it. They got it all out there. Now we're out there talking about it.
What's your podcast?
I don't have one. I mean, other people's.
Oh, I was about to
you know what?
You got a podcast and I never even knew it? Man, that ain't even cool.
I have one follower. That's me.
Well, two, if you told me.
So I keep saying I need to start a podcast. I just don't even know how to figure out how to do one. Everybody keeps saying,
you should
do a podcast, man.
You should do one with me. I mean it right now. And I have about a dozen people who were listening to at the time that this airs ago, be like, holy shit, if he pulls that off. Seriously, we should do a podcast. It'd be killer. You'd freaking love it. It's not, but like, we just talk about cool shit. Seriously, I'm just a big nerd anyway. It'd be fun. You ought to do one. Look me up. I'm friends on Facebook. You can find me on Messenger because I'm the dork that asked you, I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago, if you'd want to sing for me because I didn't know how to actually approach you about that. I was just like, you're like my favorite vocalist. And my son said you sound like Starscream, but I really would love it if you could sing some vocals for me for a song. But yeah, it's really easy.
I do it all the time now. It's really funny because of COVID hit. I'm doing this vocals for this band Pyramid right now. I do vocals all the time in my studio. My feed changes for everybody all over the place, this, that, and the other. And I work with people and it's so great because I do so many cool things. And every now and then when I'm done, I have nothing, now it's breaking up a little bit out there so I could do some touring, but every now and then I'll just release on Facebook, hey, if you want me to guest on your record on a song, email me at this email address and we'll talk about it. And, and it's cool because I do things for people everywhere. And it's all kinds of material from hardcore to classic metal to musicals to operatic stuff. It's the coolest thing ever.
Operatic stuff. Seriously, like what's the most you've done? Because I want to hit some questions about your vocal style. So what to you would be the most challenging vocal work that you have done?
Doing Gettysburg was pretty challenging. I hate challenging stuff. It takes me a while sometimes. I try my best to figure out how the hell to do it. It's kind of funny, but I'll get it.
That was my son's favorite album is The Glorious Burden. And so it's pretty cool that you mentioned that because like I said, he calls you Starscream. So I'm going to go ahead and ask the question because this is about, 16 now. And we were listening to The Reckoning. That might have been, 10 years ago. Probably we were listening to it enough for him to know who Starscream was because all I do was watch Transformers and listen to metal. But anyway, yeah, he wanted to know. I told him when he was a kid, it's like, dude, that's Starscream. That's Starscream? He could turn into a plane? So I need your answer. Is it awesome to turn into a jet?
It was more awesome to turn into a jet when I was younger. Now I'm more like a hot air balloon.
I'll be sure to pass that along to him.
Hey, I'm a cool looking hot air balloon and I'm a really cool one, but you get into your mid-50s and your jet slows down. Well, I'll tell you this, I'm more like a prop plane. Let's put it that way. I won't say hot air balloon. I went from a Starscreamer jet, turned into a jet, so all of a sudden I have to wind the propellers up and get going.
Hellfire Thunderbolt. If you were going to have a Transformer modeled after you, I do have to say it's a pretty rad name to have. So, I just run with it. You know what I mean? You're singing. Did you ever have to take lessons or did that just come naturally for you? That just badass Starscream, Frank Frazetta, the musical barbarian voice. Did you have to take lessons for that or was it just natural?
Well, I was a lot natural. I'm a firm believer of people are born with a natural gift of something. I was hoping I would have been born to be a brain surgeon, but that wasn't going to work out. So I was born with a gift to sing, and then I worked my ass off to sing. I sang in choirs and stuff through high school, and I work hard to try and maintain a voice, and I still learn. But I definitely was born with a gift, and then I just work my ass off to use it.
I hear that. All right, Nintendo or Sega?
Oh my goodness. I guess I have to go Nintendo.
Oh God, a man after my, I know I'm a Nintendo kid. All right, WWF or WCW?
Goodness gracious. I guess WWF.
God, see, we should do a podcast. All right, last one. I have to do this for Angelique. What's your favorite movie? If you just sat, let's watch a movie. What's your favorite movie?
Well, it's not Rockstar. Man, I don't know. I used to answer way back in the day. I would always answer Breakfast Club for some reason. Obviously that's not good. I don't know what my answer would be now.
I'll tell you what,
I don't know.
We got to wrap it up. I know you. So I'm going to hit you up on Facebook, and you'll remember.
Hit me up on Facebook, and we'll do it again. We'll do more interviews. We'll keep it rolling, and that way I can maybe figure out my favorite movie by then.
I'm going to hold you to that, Tim. Look, or Ripper, or whomever, the man himself. Look, I really can't, other than gushing and just sounding just stupid. Thank you.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon?
then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The Sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.